Let's start. Welcome to Bhakti Steps. We'll continue our Bhagavad Gita reading, 13th chapter. The praise on my screen, you can repeat with me. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyana Jana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadamtikam. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuktapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunatamitam Tam Sajivam. साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनी श्री विषभानुसुत देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु भैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome. We'll continue with third chapter, 13th chapter. So 13th chapter we stopped at what is knowledge, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So it is a very long purport and it's a list of that. So we will, yeah, we'll go through this whole list in this table format. Okay. So this is termed as knowledge. So there are two types of knowledge: material knowledge, spiritual knowledge. Okay. That which helps in material life is material knowledge. That which helps in spiritual life is spiritual knowledge. So jnana, not jnana, vidya, avidya. These are the two words that are used. Vidya, avidya. And we read through the Ishopanishad also, right? We read Ishopanishad also, which says that we have to study both vidya and avidya. Ignorance also we have to study. Why? What is material knowledge? What is the knowledge that helps in material life? Physics, chemistry, mathematics, finance, biology, Ayurveda, astrology, etc. etc. Why? Because we have to live in this world. We have to earn in this world. We have to live in this world, live properly, and dedicate our life to Krishna. How to dedicate our life to Krishna? That we need spiritual knowledge. That is the list that is given here. Okay. Most of our life we have studied material knowledge only. So that's why our body is good, our bank balance is good, our other things are kind of good. But when it comes to spiritual life, we are far away from spiritual life. So now we need to understand what is required for spiritual life. What kind of knowledge is required? What kind of qualities are required? Hmm? This is the whole list that he gives here in 13 chapter. Sorry. Okay. First is in Vidya, it is humility. Amanitva. We'll go by this. Amanitva, humility. So first is humility. Humility is defined as not to be anxious to be satisfaction of being honored by others. We may go to some place and people will honor us and then we will feel, oh, this is so satisfying, right? Isn't it? If other person respects us, we feel happy. It's pretty natural. It's not something unnatural. Then why this is a problem? Being honored by other. Can anyone tell me?
Prabhuji, could you please repeat your question?
Ah, humility is not to be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored by others. So, we may go to some place and we may get honor, we may get respect. We'll feel happy about it. Um, so then then is there any problem to expect honor, to get happy when we are honored, respected? That is my question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I attempt to answer?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Prabhu, I feel um, what comes in between us and humility is that our false ego and false pride. Because even if we're doing surveys and we feel that, okay, we're doing this or we're being displayed and so on and so forth. So we should be, humble from that perspective. It is the false ego comes in between is what I'm trying to, you know, uh,
Yeah,
highlight
yeah.
here.
So in this particular line, there is one word which is very important to help us understand what is humility and what is not humility. There's a particular word in this line. Can you point that word to me?
Prabhu, honor.
Okay. Anything more?
Is it anxious?
Yeah. Anxious means what? Means you're expecting it, right? If a child become anxious, we know it wants it, right? So if we want that honor, that is not humility. Humility is not being anxious, not being demanding. Okay, there is no demand that you have to honor me. That is humility. The false ego that you're talking, right, it generates that anxiousness. False ego is I am so and so person, I am Mr. This, I am prime minister, I am finance minister, I am head of the house, I am elder to you, I am bigger to you, you have to respect me, right? That kind of ego, the ego is identification. So that identification creates an anxiousness is in us, that the other person should honor me, and if he doesn't, then I will get angry on that person, right? So humility is not to be anxious for that honor. Getting? Yes or no? Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Let's say the prime minister comes, okay, and an IAS officer doesn't respect him. He doesn't shake his hand with him. He doesn't give him a flower when he comes. He doesn't provide a vehicle for his travel. So, should the Prime Minister say, I am humble, I don't need all this? What is your thought?
In the position that he holds, there is an expectation that this will be provided. All this paraphernalia will be provided. That is the expectation.
If the expectation is not met, what the Prime Minister should do?
Probably remind the IS.
Okay. Another situation. The parent is there, child is there. The child doesn't give respect to parent. The parent, can he say, okay, I'm very humble, I don't expect honor from you, respect from you, you can do whatever you want, I'm very humble person. Is that okay?
No, Prabhu.
So then what does real humility means? Real humility, first point is that it's very clear from here, not to be anxious. So we are not anxious for that. But if we hold a position, if we say hold a position, and that position requires to be respected, okay, we are not to be respected, we are at the position, and that position needs to be respected. If that is not done, then we can demand that honor. You're getting? The parent has to discipline the child. Okay, the parent has to discipline the child. The prime minister has to discipline, because that position has to be honored. Okay, the honor is not for the person, but of course it's for the person, but because the person has hold the position, it has to be given honor. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So
Yes, Prabhu.
humility, yeah. So when we do not demand honor, let's put it this way now. First of all, we know where to demand honor because we hold that position. Okay, then we can demand that honor because we have to set things right. We have to pass down traditions. We have to follow the tradition, the culture. So we have to demand honor at certain places. Agreed. Now, where we should not demand honor, that is what this humility comes. Where we don't hold a position. Okay, simple. First thing, where we don't hold a position, we should not demand. है ना? Second is, in the association of devotees, we should not force somebody just because I am elder. You have to honor me. No. Okay. In the association of devotees, we should be humble and not demand. There, we should command. See, there's a difference between demand and there's a difference between command. Demand is, why are you not giving me respect? You should give me respect. That we have to use certain cases only. If you hold a position, if you have that relationship, then when we don't have that relationship, when we are in the devotees, at that point we should not demand. Command means, by our own purity, our own advancement, the other person will honor us. Okay, but we are not anxious for that honor. We are not looking for it. We are not craving for it. So honor may come because, just because we may be elder, we may be, initiated or whatever, but we are not anxious for it. We're not craving for it. That's what this humility means. So this is the first thing in knowledge. This humility, another way we have to look at it is through relation with knowledge and with relation with guru and relation with devotees. With relation with devotees, we clearly understand that we should not expect the honor, right? With the guru also, we should not expect the honor, by him. And how we need to be in front of him? Humble. Okay, what is the verse in Bhagavad Gita? Tat viddhi prani pratena pariprashnena sevaya. Oh, what is it? 4.34. Tat viddhi paripratena pranipate परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेशते ज्ञानम ज्ञानी तत्वदर्शिना sevaya. So our desire should be to serve rather than being served. That is humility. When we are not anxious for the honor, we are anxious to serve to Guru and senior Vaishnavas and other Vaishnavas, of course, and to Jivas also. That is humility. That makes sense? Where we have to be humble, where we need not be humble. Is that clear? Any question?
Yeah, clear, Prabhu.
No, Prabhu.
Okay. Where a devotee is getting abused, sexually abused, physically abused, mentally abused, can the devotee say, I'm very humble, you can continue? What is your opinion?
No, Prabhuji. Absolutely not.
Yeah, that is the right answer. But still in Shastra we will find that pure devotees will be still humble, like Prahlad Maharaj. He was abused by his father. First, his father threw him from his lap. Second, burned him, tried to burn him. Second, he tried to burn him, uh, put him in the well surrounded by snakes, animals. So that abuse was going on. But Prahlad was humble. So then, should we follow Prahlad or not Prahlad? We should not follow. What is your opinion?
Prabhuji, I just had a query with regard to this. Could I ask it now?
Yeah.
So, I agree with you that mm, Prahlad was put through a lot of tests by his father, a lot of issues. But the yuga was different, right? The anarthas in Kali Yuga
We
are
have to
much
learn
more.
from Prahlad. Even in today's life, we have to learn from Prahlad. There is no doubt in it. See, Prahlad Maharaj's name is here only. Tolerance. We have to learn from Prahlad Maharaj. He gives the 9 processes of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Vandanam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So he gives it. So we have to follow Prahlad Maharaj. Whether it is Kali Yuga, whether it is Satyuga, whatever Yuga it is.
Because anarthas are very different in different yugas, isn't it, Prabhuji? So,
Hey, same Anartha. Are you Hiranyakashipu? We see many Hiranyakashipus today. It is they may not be as strong as him, but they do some stupid things, right? Like he did.
hmm,
So, should we follow Prahlad Maharaj in the quality of humility and tolerance?
it's a difficult task, Prabhuji, but then I guess we should.
So the thing is, now we should understand that the highest level of humility, right? Like Haridas Thakur, he was beaten in 22 places. Still, he didn't protest. Highly humble person. But the thing is, because they have a adhikar. Adhikar means they have qualification. They are pure devotees. They are Shuddha Bhakta. That's why the humility is of that nature. We are not Shuddha. We are Shuddha to some extent. So we should not allow abuse on ourselves in under the guise that okay, I have to be humble. Does that make sense? So we have to follow in the footsteps of Prahlad. We have to be humble. But in the case of self defense, in the case of self protection, in the case of protecting from abuse, we should not be humble. Does that make sense?
Prabhu, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So how do we deal with it? For example, there's a mental abuse, right? Or there's, let's not go to that extreme. Let's say, as a devotee, also you're being judged and labeled. People do talk about it, and you get to know about it, right? Or your own family members. There's some the people following Krishna consciousness, but they have some sort of opinion, or they kind of carry on
See,
some judgments and all.
see,
How do we
first,
deal with such
yeah,
situations?
yeah. First thing is we take inspiration from Prahlad Maharaj, okay, because he was also mentally, verbally, physically abused. We take inspiration, we take tolerance, we follow in his footsteps because he was doing smaranam of Vishnu. We take shelter of Krishna and we pray to Krishna, please save me from this situation. That is first thing. Second thing is we have to physically avoid such people. There is no, if these people are out of our near family members, we can easily avoid. Okay, there is no need to go only. And even if we don't have, even if we are not able to avoid this who are outside our family members, we have to deal with them only for the business that we have with them. Okay, we may have certain business, we may have certain interaction with them, finish it up in few seconds like that. Hmm? Now when it is within the family, they're staying within the walls that we are also staying in, then it is complicated. right? Then it is complicated. So in that, we may have to ignore, we may have to be tactful. Okay, we have to learn from other devotees who have gone through this situation. That is another interesting point. If we don't know how to do it, but we came to know, okay, this devotee also went through that, that devotee can tell how to handle the situation. Does that make sense?
It does. I have a follow up question here.
Hmm.
So, while you avoid the situations at home or outside, you have minimal interactions on that particular topic or otherwise, right? How do you manage this internally, as in your mind? How do you keep yourself clear and not get it affected too much? Because see, it's all about also mentally how much you're getting affected.
Yeah. I understand. I understand. See, the thing is, now we should understand that this situation is not going to be throughout our life. Okay, it will change. That is the hope we have. Second thing is, we should fortify ourselves with regular association of devotees. Once in a week, we should definitely go have the katha satsang. Hmm? Every day we should chant whatever rounds we are chanting, one round, two round, four rounds, whatever. Okay, and it will be a little bit struggle. And then one of the most important thing I felt like, if we have any trusted devotee, they can tell us how to handle this situation, because everyone's situation is little different, so one to one consultation we should take from devotees. And and then and yeah, and there are a few other more things. When it is uh, one of the family members, very close family member, like sometimes, husband may not be favorable or wife may not be favorable, it happens. Parents may not be favorable, so we have to pray to Krishna to make them favorable. Second thing is, we should make them eat Krishna prasad. Okay, should make them eat Krishna prasad. If you go to temple, get prasad for them. If you cannot get prasad for them, at home only cook, offer it to Krishna, give them prasad. Prasad is the thing that goes into the mouth, into the stomach, but changes the whole body, the mind, everything. And it is a slow process, like a medicine. Okay, the doctor says not, and take antibiotic for how many days? How many days it is?
That has a course 5 to 7 days
Yeah.
typically.
So prasad also 5 to 7 days, 5 to 7 years, 5 to 7 months. It will go on. So these are the various ways of handling it. Okay. Now we have to see which one is working for us. In some devotee's life, something may work. Like I'll tell you one devotee. Um, this was long time back in the 1990s. They were so they are very senior devotees now, both of them, husband, wife, and they're counselors also, very big counselors, so very senior devotee. But what happened is, Mataji, wife, she became interested in Krishna consciousness, but husband was not interested. But somehow she forced, you have to take me and drop me to temple. So that time, people used to drive two-wheelers, right? Two-wheelers with scooter. So she used to sit in behind, and he used to get her to the temple, drop her, and he would go away. And when the pickup time was there, he would come, pick her up, go away. Then she told certain things. She told, I prayed to advanced devotees and devotees to pray to make my husband a devotee. I gave him prasad. Somehow he ate prasad. Once in a year he came to Janmashtami. Like this, over a period of time, 1 2 years or something, this husband, he became interested in Krishna consciousness, and he was a manager, and somehow he got one service where he had to manage, and he liked it, and then he became a devotee, and then both became great devotees, and they became counselors. So it's a slow process, works over time, but we have to use many options, we have to use many tools. So I gave you list of tools. See which one works for you. Getting?
Sure, Prabhu.
Yeah. Prasad always works. Okay? Prasad works. And on Janmashtami, whoever that person may be will come to ISKCON temple. Because he knows no one celebrates Janmashtami like ISKCON. Right? These two works very nicely. Hmm. So we discussed a lot about humility because we need to understand, because sometimes what happens is under the guise of humility we may allow abuse, which is wrong actually. Under the guise of humility we may be anxious to get honor, which is also wrong. So what is exact humility we need to understand. Second is pridelessness. Adam Vitva. Adam Vitva. Not to be anxious to be famous for one's religion and entering into group, not actually following principles and wanting to advertise a religious mentor. It's pretty straightforward. We want to be famous, but in devotional circle, we should not try to make famous and and say that I'm a great devotee. I can play kirtan nicely, or I can dance nicely, or I can cook nicely. No, our cases we have to keep a low profile and be anxious to serve, not being served. Okay, when we are anxious to serve other devotees, then this humility, pridelessness, tolerance, non-violence, simplicity, these qualities come in us. But when we are anxious to be honored, anxious to be famous, anxious to be insult someone in the name of devotee, then it's problematic. Okay, so we should not advertise ourselves, keep a low profile. Non-violence is no violence, is non-violent, no violence. Is non-violence equal to no violence or zero violence? What is your opinion? Hmm? Already two wars are going on, right? So there should be non-violence or there should be violence. Well, where was Bhagavad Gita spoken? Where was Bhagavad Gita spoken? Huh? Where?
With the Kurukshetra, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra,
Ah,
in between.
battlefield. Wow. So Krishna taught ahimsa, and then after that, Arjuna, did he do zero violence or what he did?
Complete violence. He performed his karma, sorry, his duties. So as a Kshatriya, whatever duties are laid for
Yeah.
to him, he
So
performed
he
his
did violence.
duties.
So then, was it violence or was it no violence? He had to follow Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavad Gita says ahimsa, ahimsa, no
No,
violence.
he followed what as a Kshatriya he had to follow, though
So
even
if a
though he was
Kshatriya
in
does
dilemma.
violence, then how can it be non-violence?
Because, Prabhu, if I remember, it is mentioned in chapter 2 that when he was perplexed about why he should, kill his relatives and then family members, then Krishna called out to him that they are already killed. You are just a medium to kind of, put these activities together. So you are just a medium for me. Even if you'll not kill him, they're already killed. So we all are doing our duties as
So
brahstas,
if
and
we
we,
do our duty and if that duty is to kill, then it is ahimsa. That's what you mean?
yes, Prabhu, if you remember, you gave example of the army, right? That they are the border, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, 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 yeah.
if they are killing, so then they are not. It's not considered as crime. But if the
Right.
same major or
Yes.
army member killed a civilian, somewhere, then it is a crime.
Yeah, right. So ahimsa means, it definitely means no violence, okay? But we need to understand what is violence. Violence means not to put others into distress. Sorry, non-violence means not to put others into distress. Violence means to put others into distress. Simple. Non-violence is not to put others. Now, this distress can be of two types: material distress, spiritual distress. Spiritual distress is because we don't want to give them spiritual knowledge. That is also violence. Material distress is we have resources, but we are not giving them resources. We are putting them into distress. Artificial famine. That is also violence. So, non-violence means not to put others into distress. To protect the weak from the evil, one has to be violent, and that is non-violence. You understand this definition? To protect the weak from the evil, one has to be violent, and that is non-violence. The police has to be violent to stop the crime, but that action of being violent is non-violence. It is not violence, because violence is what put others into distress, and here he's not putting others into distress, he's putting the evil into distress. He's putting the criminal into distress. Why? Because the criminal is putting others into distress. You getting this point? That is unnecessary. So anybody putting other person into distress, which is unnecessary, is violence. So violence definition is unnecessary putting someone into distress. Does this make sense? Unnecessary. We are putting someone into distress. And non-violence, as Prabhupada put here, not to put others into distress. Distress, two types: spiritual and material. So therefore, spiritually we have to give violence. So we have to give this knowledge. If we don't give this knowledge, then we are becoming violent. Okay? Then we are becoming violent if we don't give this knowledge. So we should try to distribute this knowledge. Does it make sense? Any question? Any question? Okay. Tolerance. Tolerance, what is the word used? Shanti. Shanti. Tolerance means to bear insult, dishonor from others. So this question was there. Mentally, I'm getting insulted, dishonored, I'm feeling discouraged and all that. Is that tolerance? Getting insulted and dishonored, did Prahlad Maharaj felt did he felt disappointed? Did he feel uh, under stress? Did he feel uh, depressed? Did he feel depressed when he was insulted, dishonored? Did he feel depressed? Yes or no?
No problem.
So, if by the honor and insult, if we feel distressed, if we feel disturbed and disappointed and depressed, then our adhikar is not there, okay, to be that much tolerant, okay. So from such situation we should go away. That is simple thing. So depending on adhikar we should exhibit tolerance, okay. Adhikar means qualification. Definitely we'll have pure devotees who will do extreme things like Prahlad Maharaj and Haridas Thakur. But We should not allow these things to us because our bhakti will be affected by it. You're getting? When our bhakti is going to get affected, then that tolerance is not tolerance. That tolerance is taking us down. This tolerance takes us up in bhakti. You're getting the difference. Are you getting the difference? Are you getting the difference? The tolerance which takes us up in bhakti, advances in bhakti, is real tolerance. But if some tolerance, where we are feeling depressed and disappointed, and we want to give up bhakti, then that tolerance is not the right tolerance. At that point, we have to seek shelter of other devotees who will take care of us, our well wishers, and they will encourage us in bhakti. You're getting?
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Okay. Simplicity. So straightforward that you can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. Again, Prahlad Maharaj may do this. Even to the enemy, he may do this. But are we to do this? What is your point? See, when our bhakti is in danger, when our life is in danger, we need not be so simple. Simple. It is without diplomacy. We have to use diplomacy at that point. Do you know the story that our Acharyas use diplomacy? Do you know the story?
No, no, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji. Please explain.
Do you know how many disciples Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had that he personally instructed?
6 of them, Prabhuji.
Yeah, six Goswamis. Out of which, who were the two leaders?
Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami.
Yeah, they were they were prime minister and finance minister in Nizam's kingdom, but they wanted to dedicate completely to Krishna consciousness, so they gave false excuse that they are sick, so they didn't attend their daily meetings and administration. They were at home with 35 and more than brahmanas and learning shastras and bhagavatam and bhagavad gita like that. So one day the Nizam walked in and he was shocked to see that they are healthy, so he imprisoned both of them. Now they are the example of all these qualities: amanitvam, avitvam, ahimsa, shanti, marjavam, acharya, upasanam. But what did they do over there? They were simple, but what did they do? They used diplomacy. So they bribed the jailer with gold, with sweet words, and they ran from there. So these are the acharyas who are the epitome of simplicity. But when it came to danger of their own life and bhakti, they were not straightforward. They falsely flattered the jailer, gave him bribe, and ran away. Okay? Does that make sense?
In the present age, it does, Prabhuji. It's very
No,
fitting.
any age it does. Only we will see fewer devotees who won't do that. And I'll take one devotee whose name is like that: Jada Bharat. Jada Bharat was about to be killed by the dacoits. Is that Jada Bharat? It's a Jada Bharat story. Yeah. So he was about to be killed by these dacoits. And he allowed them to take him to Kali Mata Mandir. He allowed them. He was so simple. He said, okay, fine, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Okay, this story comes in Bhagavatam. Our Acharya study Bhagavatam. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami knew Bhagavatam. Okay. But there, Kali Mata couldn't tolerate a devotee being abused. So she came out from the DT and killed all of them. And that's how he was saved. But on his own effort, he didn't do anything, okay? He didn't do anything. So, pure devotee, a Shuddhit Bhakta, may show high class simplicity, okay? Like Haridas Thakur get beaten at 22 marketplaces. Prahlad Maharaj, like Jada Bharat. But we will see other devotees also who will who won't show this kind of simplicity. Vidura, when he came to know the nefarious plan of Duryodhan, he sent his spies beforehand to save the Pandavas and Kunti from the palace which was made of wax. So he saved them. He was not straightforward. He knew every diplomacy, but he's a pure devotee. So it depends on situations, it depends on the purpose of it. When the purpose is to save the life, when the purpose is to save the bhakti, we need not be simple, we need not be tolerant, we need not be humble. But still in Shastras, we will find pure devotees who will be tolerant, humble, simple in all scenarios, even if their life is going away. Why? Because they have that adhikar, they have that qualification. Bharat Maharaj had such a qualification that the DT tore apart and came out. Prahlad Maharaj was tried to be killed so many times that he cannot be killed only. So you can understand that qualification adhikar that they have. So therefore they could do this all extreme pastimes. But when it comes to common devotees, we are not supposed to do extreme pastimes. We have to be supposed to be practical. Does that make sense? And I gave you example of our great acharyas who were practical. Does that make sense? Any question? Any question? Is this clear? Can you hear me? What happened?
No, no, yes, Prabhu. You're all perfect. We can hear you at least.
Okay.
No question, Shukla.
Okay. Okay. So we went through some basic qualities and we understood when to apply, when not to apply. Okay. And we understood that pure devotee will apply in all situations. Hmm? So we have to see where we lie and then we have to do. Okay. We should not do, we should not take extreme steps. Hmm? We should do according to our adhikar or qualification. Okay. Accepting a spiritual master. So for bhakti, for spiritual life, we have to accept a spiritual master. And we went through this verse that Krishna says, Tat vidhi pani pratena pariprashnena sevaya. Approaching a spiritual master, pariprashnena, we should inquire from him, do seva to them, and then tattva darshinaha, we will understand the truth. Where in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says to Krishna, you become my teacher, I am your student. 2.7. So within Bhagavad Gita only Arjuna did this, accepting a spiritual master. Karpanya dosho upad sabhava prachhamitvam dharma samud chetaha yes shreyasa nishitam bruhitam me shishya shishyasteham. I become your student. Now you tell me what is right, what is wrong, what I should do. Explain to me. So there in Bhagavad Gita itself, Tatvidhi Panipratena has happened. Okay. So by accepting a spiritual master, we'll come to know what kind of regulatory principles we need to follow, how to do bhakti, okay, and then we'll grow. Seventh is cleanliness. Cleanliness is we have to take bath externally And whenever we go to stool or something, we have to take bath. Internally, we have to clean our mind by chanting the holy name. Okay. Externally by bathing, internally by chanting, and by prasadam also. When we eat prasad, there's a very nice verse. Shuddha ahara. Shuddha. Just let me check. I have it written. Ahara shuddha sattva suddhi. Ahara shuddha sattva shuddhi. Ahara shuddha sattva shuddhi. I'll take this verse. It's a very nice instructing verse. Ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi. Sattva shuddho dhruva smritir dhruva. Smritir lambhe sarvagathina vipra moksha. From purity of food comes purity of mind. So cleanliness starts with intake of purified food, that is prasadam. Vegetarian food offered to Krishna, Krishna takes away the sin from it, gives us Krishna prasad, mercy of Krishna, the taste for Krishna. That helps us to keep clean. So, three answers to this. Steadiness. Steadiness means determined to make progress in spiritual life. We are determined to pass exams, we are determined to work hard. Similarly, for spiritual life, we have to be
Prabhu,
determined.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you explain the previous point once again? Um,
About what? Cleanliness?
yeah,
Cleanliness?
the reference that you gave.
Okay. Ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi. From purity of food comes purity of mind. What goes inside will keep us pure. Or if that what is going inside our body, food which is impure, will make us impure. It will affect our mind. If our mind is affected, then we cannot do spiritual life. We cannot remember Krishna. We cannot be liberated. So purity of food is very, very important. That's why in Vedic culture, people would easily accept food from anyone else. A Brahmana would accept only from another Brahmana, or he will himself cook. Okay, or he may himself cook.
So, what is the reference shloka, Prabhu? This is
Chandogya
seventh.
Upanishad. I will put this in the chat.
Okay, okay, Prabhu. That
I'll
will be
put this
good.
in. Go forward. Uh, Cleanliness. Steadiness we discussed. We have to be steady. Self-control. Self-control, we have to control our mind, senses, and we have to reject unfavorable things to spiritual advancement. Whatever is unfavorable, we have to reject. And whatever is favorable, we have to accept. That is what it is? Self-control. So I have a very nice picture to show you. Our senses are moving here and there, and this will make us, this will lose control. Okay, no control. But when we put our senses in Krishna's service, then everything is under control. So this is the self-control that the Bhagavad Gita is talking about. Pictorial representation. Renunciation of sense objects. Not cater to unnecessary demands. Keep the demands only for the body to keep it fit for devotional service. See, renunciation of sense objects. Sense objects means our eyes, nose, tongue. They need something to be satisfied, right? Our tongue needs food. But if we take too much, then there's a problem. So we should take only how much is required to keep ourselves fit in devotional service, fit for our material duty and spiritual duty. Okay, that much only sense objects we should take. Absence of false ego. False ego means I am so and so person. I was born here. I am American, Indian, Pakistani, whatever. That all ego we should keep away, and we should know I am servant of Krishna. At the same time, for all legal purposes, we have to follow our false ego. There we cannot say I'm Krishna Das. No, I am Mr. Sharma. So for legal purposes, we have to use that ego. But for devotional purposes, we have to use which ego? I am Krishna Das. Jivara Surupa Hoye Krishna Nitya Das. Okay. Perception of evils of birth, death, disease, old age. There is birth everywhere. Okay. Death is always there. Some 2 years back, there was COVID and so many people died. One or two relatives also died in my family, extended family. Did someone die in your families, extended families, neighborhoods? Anyone?
Yes, Prabhuji, we had a couple of neighbors who passed away
Yeah.
because of COVID.
There's disease everywhere. Sometimes we are diseased. We have to go to doctor. Old age, one day will become old. We are already seeing our parents very old. That thing is going to come to us. So these are truths of this world that we should not forget. We should not try to hide it. There's a very famous story of Gautam Buddha. He was a prince and he was not allowed to go out of the palace. He was always surrounded by young people. So he thought everything is about young and youth and just dance and be merry. One day somehow he went out and he saw birth, then he saw death, then he saw disease, then he saw old age, and he said, "What is this? I never saw this. These are the truths. Oh, these are truths." And then he left everything. He went under the tree in Gaya and did nirvana. So these things, when we don't try to hide, when we don't try to ignore, they give us impetus to uh, advance in spiritual life, to do our bhakti, sadhana, seva, sadachar. It gives an impetus to that. So therefore, we should know that these things are there and they're surrounded and they will come to me. Okay, it's not like they will not come to me; they will come to me also. So before it comes to me, I need to be spiritually very, very strong. I need to do all the spiritual activities so that at the time of death, I should not feel like, oh, I missed this. I should not have done that and all that. Detachment. Be ready to sacrifice everything for Krishna. We have acharyas who have sacrificed everything, but that is all according to our adhikar. So it is recommended that at least 50, at most 50%, okay, at most 50% of our wealth possessions should be sacrificed for Krishna. So we should start from 0.1%, go to 50%, okay, to donate to Krishna's causes. Okay, no entanglement, wife, children. No entanglement. What is entanglement? What is
It's
entanglement?
kind of, when you're kind of trapped, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I cannot trap. Say some bug is there, no? Where it is? I need to say some trapped. Trapped. Spider web. There's a web. Let's see this. This is all spider webs, but is there something trapped inside? Spider web.
There should be a fly trapped in its
Fly
Prabhuji.
trap. Okay, now it will show.
Mhm.
Yeah. See, this is entanglement. You go inside the web and you entangle and then you cannot come out. Then the spider, which is the time or which is representing time and death, will come and devour you. This should not happen in family life. which generally happens. A person is very happy with children and wife, and he ignores, neglects spiritual life. That is called entanglement. But wife, loving wife and loving children, is that entanglement? No. That affection is natural because that is the relationship. That is the relationship. But it should not be entangling. It should not be done at the sacrifice of our spiritual life. It should not be done by that. So affection is okay, but attachment to wife and children, like they are giving me pleasure, so I'll be attached to them, that is entanglement. So one should give that up and love them, provide them physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Then we are unattached. Okay. Even mindedness means to be equilibrium. Don't get carried away with too much happiness, don't get carried away with too much distress. Hmm? Don't get carried away, be even. Some happiness is okay, some distress is okay, some sadness, some crying is okay, but it should not go beyond. Okay, it should not be carried away such that we forget our spiritual activity only. We see sometimes people, right? They come to spiritual life, they may get rich, they may, certain problems may get solved and all that, and after that they won't be seen only. They are in their world. That should not happen. Some people come, then too much distress happen in their life. They also go away. That should not happen. They should be tolerating both material distress, material happiness, and be focused on spiritual life. Unalloyed devotion. Now, this is bhakti. One should have bhakti to Krishna. Aspiring to live in a solitary place. Solitary place actually means forest. But forest, why forest? Because it is silent, it is mode of goodness. So we should live in a place which is mode of goodness. Temple is one of the place. Forest previously ages they were doing. Even today some forests are there, but we don't know how to live in forest. That is our problem. So we should live with devotees, associate with in the temple and in the satsang. That is solitary place for us. If we associate with people in bar, restaurant, and movie halls, then gone. Then we will easily give up Krishna consciousness, and we will also give up material duty also. Sometimes people drink so much that they stop working also, right? They gamble their whole life, isn't it? Detachment from general masses means from common person who is not devotee and all that. We just interact with them for the business purpose, and then just like if we go to a grocery shop, we don't sit and chant with him or sit and talk with him for hours. We just say, I want this bhendi, I want tamata, I want patata, and then he puts it, and then 2 minutes is done. 1 kilo everything you put in the bag and you go away. That is the detachment that we should have. We should only deal with non-devotees just the way that we buy groceries. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Accepting the importance self-realization, importance of spiritual life, very very important. This is very important. Now here Prabhupada says give up unnecessary sporting, cinema going, social activities, such a waste of time. Now for married people, some sporting is allowed, some cinema going is allowed, because we are living with family members, right? And not everyone is like spiritually advanced. And if we try to become sadhu, then they will accuse us. Why are you so much sadhu? So little bit of we have to give up little bit, not too much. Hmm? Some social activities there in married life. But all this is done with keeping in mind that okay, spiritual life is important. That person doesn't understand, is slowly coming. So sometimes some sporting is okay, some drama is okay, some social activity is okay. but not that you are indulging with it and you're gone and then you forget your chanting and forget your the sadhana and all that. Sometimes you have to deal no, with children. Now, children, how much sadhana they will do. They will go and sports, right? You can't say, Are, you are Prahlad Maharaj. They'll say, No, Prahlad Maharaj. I'm not Prahlad Maharaj. So, for them, sporting is required. They'll do. Some social activities required. They'll do. And we should allow that. And we should make them do spiritual activities also. Like that. That is the meaning of this. Okay. Any question on this?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. So in Grahastha life, na, some little leeway is given, some little relaxation is given, hmm, on these points. Only in Grahastha ashram. In other ashrams, it is not there. Philosophical search for the absolute truth. We should be philosophical. Right now, so many books are there. Here, Prabhupada says so many books are there on sex life and all that. Sex life, Bollywood, Hollywood. Sometimes people are making useless research. What happened to that actor, actresses when they met here, there, all kinds of topics are written. So that kind of interest we should reduce, make it zero, and increase all the interest in Krishna book, Shrimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. Okay, that is the philosophical search we want to do through Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahabharata, Ramayana. Okay, okay. So let's open up for some questions or comments. Anyone has any question or comment? Any question, comment?
No, no, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we'll stop here and we'll meet tomorrow and continue with 13. Okay. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.